Hello and welcome to Shore's Wellness Solutions.
The Natural Health and Wellness Center.
I'm Dr. Dave.
And I'm Amy.
And we'd like to welcome you to our workshop today about the truth about inflammation.
Yeah. Nobody has any inflammation going on ever. We're going to talk about some signs that you have inflammation going on and what you can do about it.
For about the next 3 hours.
Or 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
3 hours, I don't think so.
All right, so let's get started.
All right, here we go. What is inflammation?
What is inflammation?
Inflammation is a biological response triggered by the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
When irritants or pathogens are damaging cells, the immune system signals the inflammatory response. Infections, wounds, and any damage to tissue would not be able to heal without an inflammatory response.
That's a true statement. And so in English, what does that mean? That means inflammation can be good.
Yes, it can. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about
Clint Eastwood.
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Great movie.
Well, I never saw that movie.
Oh, I've seen it a dozen times.
Is it about inflammation?
It causes inflammation.
It
yes.
does? Oh, all right. Well, let's go.
So the good. Inflammation is the body's first line of defense against any harm. It's the body's attempt at self-protection to begin the healing process, and this process is called acute inflammation.
The bad is long-term inflammation lasting for prolonged periods of several months to years, and it's also called chronic inflammation.
And then we get the ugly. Chronic inflammation that eventually can cause several diseases and conditions, including some cancers and rheumatoid arthritis. And so we're going to take a deeper look at the chronic inflammation. But to give you an example, so good inflammation, you whack your thumb with a hammer or you sprain an ankle, there's inflammation there, that's part of the healing process. If you can keep the swelling out, it actually heals 3 times faster. The bad is inflammation that continues on, like the person that comes in and says, my shoulder's been hurting me for like 10 years. That's not good. And then the ugly, when these things start to turn into autoimmune conditions. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more.
Exactly. So what causes chronic inflammation? Chronic inflammation can result from several things. One, when the body fails to eliminate the cause of acute inflammation, such as infectious organisms, fungi, parasites, and harmful agents, they remain affected in your tissue. That's one way.
Mm-hmm. Second is exposure to low-level particulate irritant or foreign material, including substances or industrial chemicals that cannot be eliminated.
Right.
I would say, what do you mean can't be eliminated? So the question is, what's holding them in?
Right. An autoimmune disorder in which the immune system attacks healthy tissue is another reason.
And a fourth is a biochemical inducer that leads to excessive oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, and increased production of free radical molecules.
Yeah. So the most significant cause of death in the World Health Organization ranks...
Ooh. I'm just kidding. Keep going.
Would you like me to continue?
Yes.
Okay. The World Health Organization ranks chronic diseases as the greatest threat to human health. Years of research conclude that chronic inflammatory diseases are the most significant cause of death in the world.
I believe that
Yeah.
to be true.
Lots of people suffering. So, what are some symptoms of chronic inflammation?
How about body pain, constant fatigue and insomnia, depression, anxiety, mood disorders, gastrointestinal complications like constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, weight gain and obesity, frequent infections, and that's just the surface of the symptoms of chronic inflammation. And when we look at chronic inflammation, like I said, we'll discuss it a little more, I'll give a little more each time. Chronic inflammation all starts in the gut, except for a trauma. It's true. And it starts in the gut, and then the gut's ignored, and as it starts to work its way to somatic areas, that is parts of our body where we're getting symptoms, it will then lead to autoimmune conditions. And they are correctable. Yes, they are correctable. I know your doctor might say, oh, no, they're not. You have it for life. It's your body attacking itself. Well, yes, but it starts in the gut. And when you repair the gut, getting a little ahead of ourselves now, when you repair the gut, good chances are that autoimmune condition can resolve as well.
Look at that. So some conditions that are related to chronic inflammation are asthma, cancer, heart disease, neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's disease, obesity, periodontitis, rheumatoid arthritis, sinusitis, type 2, one of the two, diabetes, and ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease are just a few of the conditions related to chronic inflammation.
That's correct. And there are risk factors. Numerous risk factors have been identified that promote, we're both struggling a little bit.
Yeah, talk to me,
Right. So the risk factors that have been identified that promote low-level inflammatory response will include age, obesity, diet, smoking, low sex hormones, stress and sleep disorders. And so can you think of what most of these risk factors have in common? I have an idea.
You do?
Yeah.
What's that?
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
It all has to do with lifestyle, because what are we doing with our lifestyles that are promoting these? You know, our diet, our exercise, our sleeping habits, you know, and with diet, the foods that we're eating. And not all, excuse me, not all foods are the same. As we know with supplements, same thing. Not all supplements are the same. One specific, I'll just mention now, MediHerb's turmeric. It's up to 250 times more absorbable than other brands. And so one little tablet goes a long way, so to speak. Where other brands, you might have to take 50, 100, 150 tablets just to equal one of ours. So it is important, lifestyle, and the quality of the things that you do and consume.
Yeah.
And so we'll spend the remainder of the time discussing ways that can prevent chronic inflammation.
All right. Well, the first one we're going to talk about, if you're a smoker, it's really time to quit. Smoking is a significant contributor to inflammation and is a lifestyle factor that is totally controllable. So that's a big one. Cigarette smoking is associated with lowering the production of anti-inflammatory molecules and inducing inflammation. You can always talk with a doctor to help quit if you're having a hard time quitting. We also help with that as well. So if you are struggling, you're wanting to quit smoking to reduce that inflammation, just give us a call, reach out to us, and we'll help you with that as well.
And one of the big things to understand with smoking, it's a habit. And you can't just drop a habit. You have to replace one habit with another. And many times people will quit smoking and take up eating. And we know people like that. And then after gaining a certain amount of weight, they'll then give up the eating and go back to smoking. And so that's what we don't want. Right. So we want people to have success, and helping changing lifestyle habits is really key to changing the habit of smoking.
Yep. All right. Inflammation diet.
It's called the refrigerator. It lies in the refrigerator. So one good way to reduce inflammation is to change what's in your refrigerator. And an anti-inflammatory diet should include foods like tomatoes, olive oil, green leafy vegetables such as spinach, kale, and collards, nuts like almonds and walnuts, okay, fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, tuna, sardines, and cold water fish, and fruits, all berries, cherries, and even oranges too.
Right. These foods are all high in natural antioxidants, which are protective compounds found in plants to help reduce the inflammation. So those are great things to add.
That's correct. You make me smile.
Like that. Another type of eating, we've heard about it before, the Mediterranean diet.
But I caution you, beware. Let's get into Halloween season.
Oh yeah, so now we're going to be spooky.
Okay, so not all Mediterranean diets that you find on the internet are really Mediterranean diets. They're knockoffs. And so it's really important to know and understand what a true Mediterranean diet is. So we'll give you a little hints and clues about that, but contact us if you really want something that's more in depth.
Right. So numerous studies have shown that the Mediterranean diet is associated with weight loss and reduced risk of heart attacks, strokes, type 2 diabetes, and premature death. But like he said, you want to make sure that you're following the right type of protocol when you're incorporating a Mediterranean diet.
Awesome. Salt room for you. So some examples of Mediterranean diet, like a breakfast, a Greek yogurt with berries into it. Or lunch, maybe some warm Mediterranean chicken salad. Warm the chicken, not the salad. Okay. Or a tuna salad that's dressed in olive oil. And for dessert, a piece of fruit or a piece of hard cheese.
So some inflammation causing foods, when it comes to reducing inflammation in the body, it's not only about the foods you eat, but also about the foods that you don't eat. So you want to avoid or limit these foods as much as possible. Carbohydrates, such as white bread and pastries.
Can I say it?
No!
Yes.
Please don't.
Bread, pasta, cereal, biscuits, muffins, pancakes, waffles, donuts, bagels, cookies, cakes, candies, crackers, pizza, empanadas, roti, and naan.
So stay away from all of that if you got it.
And to simplify that, stay away from white trash.
Exactly.
We're talking about food.
French fries, other fried foods, stay away from that. Soda, energy drinks, and other sugary sweetened beverages.
They
are not good for you. Red meats, burgers, steaks, and processed meats like hot dogs and sausages, not the best to have if you want to reduce inflammation.
I can give you a funny hot dog story. So I had this friend of mine, I won't say his name, vegetarian, won't touch meat, except
a hot dog?
he'll eat hot dogs in the summer at barbecues. And I asked him, I said, what's going on? And he said, don't ask. It's, yeah. Of all the things.
Of all the things you're going to choose, that's what you're going to choose as a hot dog?
Yep. Oh, and also to finish up the list, margarines, shortening, lard, those things also you want to stay away from because they're inflammatory. And if you took a day, just a day, and stayed away from all that, well, if you do one day, why not two? But anyway, if you took a day or two and stayed away from all those, and then see how you felt the next day, you'll notice some changes. You might notice that you slept better. You might notice less headache. You might notice that you get up and like your pants are a little looser because you're not as bloated from the inflammation that's going on in your gut.
Right. So another diet that can be used to keep inflammation in check is a low glycemic diet.
Low glycemic diet, low G, right? It's a diet that's based on the concept of the glycemic index. And that's a measure of how food ranks according to the effect of blood sugar levels in your body. But it's a little skewed, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But things you want to look at is you want things that are low on the glycemic index. And because they'll help with weight loss, they'll help reduce blood sugar levels, they'll also help reduce the risk of heart disease, heart attacks, and type 2 diabetes. But here's where I think it's skewed. The glycemic index is based on 50 grams of sugar consumption. So, you take sugar and that'll give you so much inflammation. And then they base that on the consumption of foods at 50 grams. And so blueberries are very high on the glycemic index, but it's based on 50 grams of sugar, not a serving. See the difference? And so, or understand the difference. It should be based on a serving, not 50 grams of sugar. So to get 50 grams of blueberry, it's like a quart and a half, which is about 6 servings, not one.
Right.
Okay.
So what are you going to eat? We're talking about the things not to eat. What are some things that you can eat?
Well, I'm willing to bet you're going to give us some ideas.
I sure am.
Awesome.
So you want to make sure, like breakfast. Here's a good example of breakfast. Start with some quinoa and berries with some cinnamon.
And put a little bit of butter in there, too.
You could add a little butter in there. Real butter, not margarine or any of that other things you want, like
Crisco.
real.
No, not Crisco.
Real butter.
Mm-hmm.
You can have fruits such as apples, strawberries, apricots, peaches, plums, pears, and kiwi.
A little shout out for the fruit. Yeah. If you're going to have fruit, have a little bit of protein with it so that your blood sugars don't spike.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Thanks.
Vegetables such as carrots, sweet potatoes, broccoli, cauliflower, celery, tomatoes, zucchini, orange. You want to make sure if you have sweet potatoes, you have the flesh part on, so keep the skin on because it's very good for you.
Yum.
You can have legumes such as lentils, chickpeas, baked beans, butter beans, kidney beans. But
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I know what you're going for.
I was going to say with your baked beans, don't load it up with all the brown sugar and things like that. You want to have it as raw and as natural as you can. You add all that extra sugar in there to make like those fancy baked beans, and now you cause more inflammation rather than reducing it. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that as well. You can also wild rice is good, black rice is good, choice.
Basmati rice.
Yes, you can have that also.
Good.
Hard cheeses, plain yogurt, coconut milk, almond milk, those are all things that you can consume that are going to help reduce the inflammation.
Mm-hmm. And you can also have, oh, you mentioned it. Never mind. I was going to say quinoa, sprouted grains, and barley, but you already said that.
So,
I'll be quiet. No.
Another way to reduce inflammation is get your body moving each day.
Yes.
Exercise is another essential step in reducing the inflammation.
And here's something. Cardiovascular exercise, cardio, right? It's important, but so is resistive exercise. And resistive exercise for the human body, I believe, is more important because when we do resistive activities, we produce a hormone called adiponectin. Adiponectin is made in our muscle cells, and being made in our muscles, it uses our fat to produce more energy, more muscle, and burn more fat. But you can get that with resistive activity. When you do cardio, you're not going to produce much adiponectin. That's number one. Number two, cardio, 2 times a week, for that half hour, it's fantastic. Resistive activity, you want to do more at 3 times or 4 times a week to really train. And again, half hour, 40 minutes is plenty of time. You don't need to do hours in the gym.
Exactly. So, too much stress, because nobody has stress going on.
Okay, stress look.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's stress look, that's the scared look. I was like, stress look?
Oh, stress. There we go.
Anyway, so stress signals the body to produce a hormonal response known as the fight or flight.
Cortisol.
Yep. Well, stress serves as a protection mechanism to alert us to harm. Many people today are living in a state of chronic stress, especially with things that are going on right now. Chronic stress causes stress-related hormones to be continuously present in the body, causing inflammation. So, how do we manage stress? We're going to talk about that.
Oh, cool. Because we're talking right now about the adrenal glands and the production of cortisol. And under chronic stress or high stress, we get too much cortisol and it just keeps going. What does that do? That keeps our bodies in that fight or flight mode, which is fat storing.
Right. And nobody wants fat storing, let's be real.
Ooh.
So, there are countless ways for managing stress. So, besides physical exercise, which we talked about, there are other methods like yoga, meditation, journaling is a great way. Get your thoughts out on paper so you're not keeping them all inside.
And in that journaling, besides getting out your thoughts, also journal gratitudes.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a state of gratitude, that's very calming to the body and puts you in a whole different mindset. And I always say start each day with writing down the key. Write down, I am grateful for, or today I am grateful for, and write something. But then start again, I am grateful for, and write that 5 times, 5 different things.
There you go. And if you can't think of 5, start with 1. That's okay. But it's important to be grateful for something and making sure that, you're writing.
If we look around, and I know 5 could be a lot, but look around. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for lights.
Lights at work, right?
Lights at work. I'm grateful for some technology like a computer. Some people might be grateful for television. I'm grateful for you. Did I say that?
You did now.
I did. Good.
Well, thank you.
And then another way to help reduce stress is either deep breathing or going for a walk, which is fantastic.
And especially before we get that crazy S word that shows up here before you blink your eyes.
Snow.
Not that you can't do that, but get out there now. Enjoy the weather while you can.
And the S word you're thinking of is?
Yes, you already said it.
Snow.
Exactly. Yeah. So sleep matters as well. Are you getting enough rest? Because not getting enough rest, your body isn't going to get rid of that excess inflammation. Your body heals when you're sleeping. So you need to get restful sleep every night to get rid of the inflammation.
Repair and recovery is so important, and that happens from sleep. And also, let's talk about in here fat burning, right? 95 to 98% of all fat burning occurs at night while you're in the deep sleep cycles. So it's so important to get to bed. 11 to 3 is your most important time because that's when gallbladder and liver are repairing, upper digestive tract. And so that's so important. And so you want to get to bed early. Question is, after 10 p.m., really, what's so important that's on TV? It's not the news, And there's nothing on there now with today's technology that you can't record and watch at a later date. So really, around 10, 11 o'clock is when you should be getting into bed. If you're falling asleep on the couch, if you're falling asleep on the couch at night, that's the time you should be getting up in bed. That's when your sleep cycles are starting. And so to get that restorative sleep, that's the best time. Somewhere between 9 and 11 is when you should be getting up to bed, to sleep, to get that restful repair, recovery, and restorative sleep and rest.
That is correct. So you kind of talked about this and touched base a little bit, but you do want to create a bedtime routine as well. If you have difficulty getting to sleep or staying asleep, it's important to develop a nighttime routine to help signal your body that it's time to rest. Getting into the same habit, not being on your phone, not sitting and watching TV, but getting into a relaxation and getting your body prepared to go to bed if you're struggling with that is very important. So it's important to avoid eating or drinking caffeine in the hours before going to bed. It's going to keep you awake longer.
Participate in calm activities like walking, meditation, or stretching. Very important, because what happens during the day, you gain all the stuff. You should really stretch out your body and give it an opportunity to heal.
Yeah. Turn off the electronics an hour before going to bed so we don't get overstimulated before trying to go to sleep.
There's a reflex point right here, right there, right on the forehead between the eyes for the pineal gland. And when we have blue screens, whether it's TV, computers, iPads, iPods, cell phones, that stimulates the pineal reflex and affects our sleep cycles. And after a while, people will really struggle with sleep. And so when you shut off the electronics about an hour, 2 hours before sleep, you can start to restore that pathway and that process.
Yeah. You can also take a warm bath just to sit back and relax, create a little oasis for yourself. And it's also a good time to journal before bed. You don't have to do it when you first wake up. You can also, before go to bed, just think about what was good about your day, write it down. It's another way to help you be in a happier frame of mind to go to sleep rather than writing down all the stress and worry and everything that you have going on. But you can also, another side to that, besides writing about what you were grateful for, and so you're not thinking about the stress all day, if you need to, make your to-do list, put it all down on paper, what you're going to do for the next day as well, so you're not spending all night worrying about it when you go to sleep. You've already got it handled and you're ready to start the next day. We're going to regulate hormones. That's a big one, right? Hormones play a big role.
Huge. From that hypothalamus pituitary axis, which is up in the brain, down to your entire endocrine system in the body. And that's something that we specialize in helping to repair people with the process and looking at it. You know, medically, and I'm not picking on it, I'm just saying how it is. Medically, if there's a deficiency in a gland or an organ, the medical provider, your allopathic provider, is going to go after that and stimulate it to either work more or less, but they forget that it's an entire system that has to work synergistically together. And not all, but most, and I've seen this over the last 30 years that we've been practicing. And so it's so important to make sure you're treating the system as a whole so that it repairs fully, not just stimulate one to sacrifice another part or two.
Yeah. I'm finding that a lot of women coming in and their doctor is telling them, oh, your hormones are off, right? Nobody I know is in that stage, right, of hormone imbalance or going through anything crazy, right? But what they're doing is they're giving you medications and they're giving you creams that have toxic chemicals and things to put on your body to regulate it. And there's a much healthier way to get to the underlying cause of why your hormones are out of balance. And if you're struggling with any kind of hormonal imbalance, please give us a call, reach out to us, because we'd be happy to do a consultation with you just to see what's going on and get you on the right track, get to the root cause of why your hormones are out of balance, and balance them in a natural and effective way so you're not crazy, right?
Right.
No one wants to be crazy. All right, well, I think that's a lot that we've covered today.
A lot of information.
Lots and lots of information.
I have a challenge.
You do?
Yep. Challenge for everybody that's out there watching, whether you're watching live or watching a recording of this, and if someone sent it to you, fantastic. Thank you. We appreciate that. But here's my challenge. 3 things. 1, exercise. And I don't care if it's just as much as open the front door, go out and walk 10 minutes, turn around and come home. Get a nice gentle walk in 20 minutes at least 5 times in the next week. Number 2, pick one day where you do not consume any inflammatory foods, and that same day, plan to go to bed earlier. There you go, 3 things.
Look at that. So, if you if you have any questions about anything that we discussed today, if you're suffering from any of the chronic inflammatory issues that we talked about today, please reach out to us. That's what we do here. We'll be happy to help you, get you on the right track, and help you to reduce the inflammation, figure out ways to balance out the hormones if that's an issue you have going on, which plays a huge role in the inflammation. So contact us, let us know what's going on. We'd be happy to help you with that and help you resolve those issues. What? You look like you were going to say something else.
I am. I want to talk about elephants.
Elephants?
Elephants, right? So you take a baby elephant, right? And you tether the baby elephant to a spike in the ground, and the elephant will walk a circle. And it'll pull and tug, and it can't move that tether. But as the elephant grows into a big pachyderm, which is the largest land animal, you can tether that pachyderm with a 6-inch spike, because the elephant learned it can't pull out that spike when it was a baby, so when it's huge, it won't pull out that spike. It feels it's tethered. And so it has learned that it can't move that tether, so it just walks around in a circle. And so that elephant will even lose its life if there's a fire or something, a circus, whatever, because it believes it can't move that tether. And so I'm asking you to all pull on that tether and release yourself of walking around in that circle like that elephant and do something different. Take up that challenge and then contact us and let us know about the success or the things that you felt from doing that challenge.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all for today. If you've
I'm
enjoyed this video, on that note, on the elephant note, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you're sharing it with your friends. Other people want to know how they can reduce inflammation as well, or tag somebody in this post as well. You know, the best way to get information out there and to get the help that you're looking for is by sharing. So please share that. If you're watching the video live, just message us. If you're watching it on replay, just in the comments put hashtag replay so we can see what you're interested in as well. So we appreciate your time today.
Very much
that's
so.
all. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Do your 3 things on your challenge. Put a comment. Let us know that you're doing that. So
let us know what kind of success you had.
Yes.
I'm Dr. Dave.
I'm Amy.
And we want to be your inspiration
For healthy living. Bye, guys.
Have a great day. We're up here.